There's actually three different times from which we can base our planning, our learning, even our conversations. And it's interesting to look at these three different time periods in order to see how can we best plan for the future. Obviously, I can go back into historical records and look at what our company did in the past, what happened in other industries in the past, what was the trend with exchange rates in the past, or the price of oil and the price of gold. And that is always valuable information to gather and put into our decision-making process. But in actual fact, there's nothing that says that what happened in history, what happened in the past, is going to be any great indicator of what's going to happen in the future. It's useful information to do, and I think sometimes in terms of some organizations, knowing what they did in the past and knowing their history and identifying who they are is very important. So it's a portion of decision making, but it's by far means not enough to take decisions for our strategic plan or for moving forward. We can also come to the present day. Rather than just looking at historical performance, we can look at literally what our market share is today. We can benchmark with other companies as to how we're doing today. We can get all sorts of data, facts, about what the situation is today. And again, it's a very informative thing to do for a strategic planning process. But again, there's no way I can assume that just because it's like this today, it's going to be like that in 3-5 years' time. So we come to the idea of learning from the future. How can we learn from the future? Because that, in actual fact, is where our plan is going to roll out. My strategic plan is going to actually become real, concrete, live in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years in the future. So there's a few different techniques that help us learn from the future and plan for the future. One is doing scenarios, which is not trying to predict what's going to happen in the future, but listening, really having a good exploration with a group of people of what might happen, what could happen. Some kind of indication of plausibility is key. If something isn't plausible to the people in the room, then doing scenario planning is a bit of a waste of time. But it is a way of starting to learn from the future. We're looking forward and trying to get some insight into what might happen and what we might do. We also can identify our assumptions. Strategic assumptions are important in order to identify what are the assumptions of the future that potentially affect us today and will affect the rollout of the plan. We can also do a lot of project piloting, and probably that's one of the, it's not quite in the future, but if I'm launching a new product and I'm not sure about it, and I want to know and be really on the cutting edge, on the cliff edge in actual fact of what's happening out there in the marketplace, I can be putting up very rough drafts and getting feedback, revamping it, sending it out again. So you have numerous iterations. In actual fact, it becomes a continuous process that you are always at the limit of what's going on today and on that limit of moving towards the future. So looking at the past, yes, it's valuable. Looking at what's going on today, yes, I can learn something. But to really be at the cutting edge and really be aware of what we should be doing in the future, I need to be projecting out there and be really aware of what potentialities there are that's coming. And those are a few techniques you can use in order to make sure that you are literally learning, ready, and planning for the future.